The fate of 50,000 refugees hung in the silence of the Galactic Council chamber. Dr. Zechtal, the most renowned xenogeologist in the Seven Systems, stood before the curved wall of monitors displaying the harsh surface of Kepler 186f. His tentacles rippled with certainty as he delivered his verdict. This planet is dead. The surface temperature and mineral composition make it impossible for any water-based life to survive. He gestured to the endless expanse of rust-colored dunes. The refugees cannot be relocated here. It would be a death sentence. In the back row of the chamber, Lily Chen gripped her grandmother's dowsing rod beneath her coat. The worn brass Y-shape pressed against her palm, its surface smooth from generations of use. Her eyes traced the crystalline formations visible in the scanner footage, patterns she'd seen before in Earth's deepest deserts. The council president's voice echoed through the chamber. The Centaurian refugee fleet will arrive in 72 hours. If Kepler 186f is unsuitable, we have no alternative settlement site within range. Lily's heart pounded. She knew she should stay quiet. She was only here as a junior geological surveyor, part of the Earth delegation support staff. But the patterns were there, clear as day to anyone who knew how to read the land the old way. "Excuse me." Her voice came out stronger than she expected. "I believe Dr. Zechtal's conclusion may be premature." The chamber fell silent. Dr. Zechtal's upper eyes swiveled toward her while his lower pair continued analyzing data streams. "And you are?" "Lily Chen, Earth Geological Survey." She stood, forcing herself to meet his gaze. The crystal formations in Sector 7 match patterns typically found near underground aquifers on Earth. "There's water here, we're just looking for it wrong." Dr. Zechtal's skin flushed orange with barely contained irritation. "I've analyzed this planet's composition with the most advanced equipment in the galaxy. Every scanner confirms. Sometimes the old ways see what scanners miss." Lily pulled out her grandmother's dowsing rod. "Give me 48 hours on the surface. I'll find your water." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Dr. Zechtal's tentacles coiled in dismissal. "You expect us to trust the fate of 50,000 refugees to a primitive piece of metal?" The council president raised a hand for silence. "The stakes are too high to dismiss any possibility, no matter how unlikely." Her silver eyes fixed on Lily. "You have 24 hours, Ms. Chen. Dr. Zechtal will accompany you to document your efforts." She turned to the rest of the chamber. "We will reconvene tomorrow." Dismissed. As the chamber emptied, Dr. Zechtal loomed over Lily's desk. "You've just wasted the council's precious time and my own. I look forward to proving exactly how wrong you are." Lily clutched her grandmother's dowsing rod, remembering the day she'd learned its use under a baking sun much like the one that waited on Kepler 186f. "Sometimes," she murmured, "you have to trust what you can feel more than what you can measure." 20 years earlier, on a sun-baked afternoon in rural China, 8-year-old Lily had watched her grandmother's weathered hands guide a dowsing rod much like the one she now held. "Water speaks to those who listen," her grandmother had said, moving slowly across the parched earth. "Not with words, but with feeling. The old ones knew this before machines could tell us where to dig." Now, as Lily stepped onto the burning surface of Kepler 186f, those words echoed in her mind. The planet's twin suns beat down mercilessly, their combined heat making the air shimmer despite her environment suit's best efforts to compensate. Dr. Zechtal emerged from the survey shuttle behind her, his tentacles securely wrapped in protective gear. "Your suit has 18 hours of oxygen remaining," he announced, managing to sound both professional and condescending. "I suggest you don't waste them." His own equipment followed him like a swarm of metallic insects, the latest in geological scanning technology, each device worth more than Lily would earn in a decade. They hummed and whirred, already collecting data that would, no doubt, confirm his original findings. Lily oriented herself, taking in the vast desert landscape. The rust-colored dunes stretched to the horizon, broken only by occasional outcroppings of the crystalline formations she'd spotted in the survey footage. Her grandmother's voice whispered in her memory, "The land keeps its secrets in patterns. Learn to read them, and you'll never be truly lost." She pulled out the dowsing rod, its brass surface catching the alien sunlight. Dr. Zechtal's upper eyes narrowed. "Fascinating. On my world, we also once used mystical implements, before we developed actual science." Lily ignored him, closing her eyes and letting the rod rest naturally in her hands. Her grandmother had taught her to empty her mind, to become a conduit rather than a seeker. The rod felt heavier than usual in the planet's gravity, but its familiar weight centered her. "There," she said, opening her eyes and pointing toward a distant rock formation. "We should start there." "The preliminary scans show nothing in that direction except more barren rock," Dr. Zechtal countered, his scanning swarm buzzing in agreement. "Exactly. But look at the crystal growth patterns. They're angled, all pointing the same way. On Earth, we'd call that a water marker." Dr. Zechtal's skin rippled with barely contained frustration. "Very well. Let's waste some time proving the obvious." He gestured to his equipment, which began mapping a path across the dunes. The trek was grueling. The environment suits were designed for short survey missions, not long hikes across an alien desert. Lily felt every step in her joints, the planet's higher gravity making each movement a conscious effort. But something kept pulling her forward, a feeling she couldn't explain, a certainty that grew stronger with each step. An hour into their journey, one of Dr. Zechtal's scanners emitted a shrill alarm. He quickly checked its readings, all four eyes widening. "Impossible. The atmospheric pressure is changing. There's a storm coming, a big one." Lily studied the horizon. The air had taken on a reddish tinge, and the winds were picking up, carrying stinging particles of sand. Her grandmother's words came back to her, "The water brings change. Watch for the signs." "We need to find shelter," Dr. Zechtal announced, his tentacles coiling anxiously. "The shuttle is too far back. These storms can strip the protective coating from our suits." Lily held out the dowsing rod, letting it guide her gaze. The crystal formation they'd been approaching now loomed closer, its jagged spires reaching toward the darkening sky. "There," she pointed. "Those formations, they're hollow." "How could you possibly know that?" "Because that's where the water went." Lily was already moving, fighting against the strengthening wind. "Water doesn't just disappear. It hides." They reached the crystal formation just as the storm hit in earnest. What had looked like solid rock from a distance revealed itself to be a network of caves, their surfaces glassy smooth. As they ducked inside, Lily's helmet lights illuminated walls that sparkled with embedded minerals. Dr. Zechtal's scanning swarm spread out through the cave system, their lights dancing off the crystalline surfaces. He studied their readings with growing confusion. "These formations, they're not natural. The molecular structure is too uniform." Lily ran her gloved hand along the wall, feeling the patterns beneath her fingers. "No," she agreed. "They're not natural. They're better." She held up the dowsing rod, which was now vibrating slightly in her grip. "Someone was here before us. Someone who knew how to move water through stone." The storm raged outside, but inside the cave, Lily felt a growing sense of certainty. They hadn't just found shelter, they'd found their first real clue. As if in confirmation, a drop of moisture gathered on the cave ceiling and fell, catching the light of their helmets as it descended. Dr. Zechtal's equipment went wild. The single drop of water had changed everything. Dr. Zechtal's scanning swarm danced through the cave system like excited fireflies, their sensors overwhelmed by what they were detecting. His skin had shifted to a deep purple, a sign of intense concentration, Lily had learned. These readings defy every geological principle we know, he muttered, all four eyes fixed on the data streams. The mineral composition suggests liquid water flow, but the channels are wrong. They move up. Lily studied the crystalline walls more closely. In her helmet lights, she could see delicate patterns etched into the surface, not random formations, but deliberate lines that reminded her of circuit boards. Her grandmother's words came back to her, water always knows where it needs to go. Sometimes it just needs a little help getting there. We need to go deeper, she said, checking her suit's oxygen display. 14 hours remaining. These patterns are leading somewhere. Dr. Zechtal's tentacles coiled skeptically. The storm is getting worse. If we lose our way down here. A low vibration cut through the cave, more felt than heard. Lily's dowsing rod trembled in response, pulling toward a narrow passage they hadn't yet explored. The scanning swarm's lights flickered. Did you feel that? Lily asked, already moving toward the passage. My equipment is detecting significant seismic activity. We should return to the surface. In that storm? This is our best chance to find what we're looking for. Lily ducked into the passage, her suit scraping against the crystalline walls. Besides, we're not the only ones running out of time. 50,000 refugees are counting on us finding water here. She heard Dr. Zechtal's exasperated sigh over the comm system, followed by the whir of his equipment following her into the tunnel. The passage descended at a steep angle, the walls here showing more obvious signs of artificial modification. Regular geometric patterns emerged from the crystal, forming what looked like writing in a script neither of them recognized. After what felt like hours of careful descent, the passage opened into a vast chamber that made them both stop in awe. The ceiling soared overhead, supported by massive crystalline columns that pulsed with faint bioluminescence. The floor was an intricate mosaic of the same circuit board patterns they'd seen above, all leading to a central platform. This is impossible, Dr. Zechtal whispered, his scanning swarm spreading out to map the chamber. The energy readings, there's something still active down here. Lily approached the central platform, her dowsing rod pulling forward with such force she could barely hold it. The platform held what appeared to be a control panel, its surface covered in the same strange script they'd seen in the tunnel. As she got closer, the crystal beneath her feet began to glow. Don't touch anything. Dr. Zechtal called out, but it was too late. The dowsing rod had already made contact with the panel's surface. The chamber came alive. Lines of light raced through the circuit patterns on the floor and walls, spreading outward like a digital wildfire. The columns pulsed brighter, and that deep vibration returned, stronger now. It's some kind of pump system, Lily realized, watching as the patterns of light began to move in regular rhythms. They weren't just storing water here, they were moving it through the entire planet's crust. Dr. Zechtal's equipment was going haywire, but his voice held a note of wonder she hadn't heard before. The crystal formations, they're not just rocks. They're machinery. Ancient technology we didn't recognize because it works on principles we've never seen. A holographic display sprang to life above the control panel, showing a three-dimensional map of the planet's subsurface. Vast networks of crystalline channels spread out from their location, most dormant, but some beginning to pulse with renewed activity. Look at the scale of this, Dr. Zechtal breathed. It's a planetary irrigation system. The ancients who built this weren't just surviving here, they were terraforming. The moment of discovery was interrupted by a warning alert from their suits. The oxygen levels were dropping faster than they should have been. The storm above must have been affecting their suit recyclers. We need to get back, Dr. Zechtal said urgently. Now that we know what we're looking for, we can return with proper equipment and... Another tremor shook the chamber, stronger than before. Cracks appeared in one of the columns, and the holographic display flickered ominously. No, Lily said, her hands moving across the control panel as if guided by instinct. The system is trying to reactivate after being dormant for who knows how long. If we leave now, it might shut down completely. We have to stabilize it first. She could feel Dr. Zechtal's conflict through his silence. Finally, his tentacles rippled in what she'd come to recognize as resignation. What do you need me to do? Above them, the storm raged on. Below, an ancient machine stirred to life, guided by a human's intuition and an alien's technology. Their suit oxygen continued to drop, and the chamber's stability was far from certain. But for the first time since they'd landed on this impossible planet, both Lily and Dr. Zechtal felt something they hadn't expected: hope. The ancient control room pulsed with increasing urgency as Lily's fingers danced across its crystalline surface. Each touch sent ripples of light through the circuit-like patterns, but the system's response was becoming more erratic. Their suit displays showed 10 hours of oxygen remaining, if the readings could even be trusted anymore. The power distribution is unstable, Dr. Zechtal announced, his scanning swarm providing real-time analysis of the awakening machinery. The eastern grid is drawing too much energy. If we don't balance it. Another tremor rocked the chamber, stronger than the last. Fragments of crystal rained down from the ceiling, their impacts echoing through the vast space. I see it, Lily responded, her grandmother's teachings guiding her hands. It's like a river system. When one channel gets blocked. She pressed her palm against a pulsing node, and the dowsing rod vibrated in response. The water finds another way. Dr. Zechtal's skin had shifted to a deep blue, worry, she'd learned. This isn't water, Ms. Chen. This is a planetary-scale piece of technology we barely understand, and it's becoming more unstable by the minute. But it is water, Lily insisted, not taking her eyes off the holographic display. Look at the patterns. The ancients didn't fight against nature, they worked with it. They took the planet's natural water cycle and enhanced it, using these crystals to. She paused, a realization striking her. To store it as energy. The chamber's lights flickered as another surge rippled through the system. Dr. Zechtal's equipment scattered, trying to map the changing energy flows. Fascinating theory, but it doesn't solve our immediate problem. The containment field is failing in sectors 7 through 13. Lily's mind raced back to her grandmother's lessons by the village well. When a system is out of balance, you don't force it back, you guide it. Let it remember its natural state. She held up the dowsing rod. Can your scanners interface with this? That primitive tool? It's just metal and, Dr. Zechtal stopped, all four eyes widening as he studied the rod more carefully. Wait. The alloy, it's responding to the energy patterns. Like a tuning fork. Exactly. The old ones who used these knew something we forgot. Sometimes the simplest tools can read things our fanciest machines miss. Lily handed him the rod. I need your scanners to amplify its resonance. Can you do that? Dr. Zechtal's tentacles curled thoughtfully as he examined the dowsing rod. Theoretically. But if we create a feedback loop with the wrong frequency, then we'll have bigger problems than our oxygen supply, Lily finished. But right now, the whole system is fighting itself. We need to show it how to flow naturally again. Another tremor shook the chamber, and warning lights flashed across the holographic display. Multiple sectors were now flashing red, and the crystal columns were groaning under increasing pressure. Dr. Zechtal worked quickly, his tentacles manipulating the scanning swarm to create a web of sensors around the dowsing rod. Ready. But this is either brilliant or the last mistake we'll ever make. Lily placed her hands on the control panel. My grandmother used to say that wisdom isn't about knowing all the answers, it's about being brave enough to try something new while respecting something old. She took a deep breath. Do it. The dowsing rod began to hum as Dr. Zechtal's equipment amplified its natural resonance. The sound grew, harmonizing with the crystal chamber's own frequency. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then everything happened at once. The circuit patterns in the walls blazed with sudden brilliance. The holographic display erupted with new information, not just showing the system's structure, but its rhythm, its pulse, its flow. It was like seeing the planet's heartbeat. "It's responding," Dr. Zektal exclaimed, his color shifting to bright gold with excitement. "The energy patterns are stabilizing, realigning." Lily felt it through her palms on the control panel. The system wasn't just stabilizing, it was awakening. Remembering. The ancient machinery had never truly died, it had just been sleeping, waiting for someone to speak its language again. But their success brought a new crisis. As the system reactivated, the chamber's atmosphere began to change. Their suits' external sensors were screaming warnings about increasing pressure and unknown chemical compositions. "The environmental systems are coming back online," Dr. Zektal reported urgently. "The chamber is trying to return to its original settings, but our suits aren't designed for." Static burst through their comm system, and Lily's vision began to blur. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was a sight that would have made her grandmother smile: water, pure and clear, beginning to flow from the crystal walls. Consciousness returned to Lily slowly, like surfacing from deep water. The first thing she noticed was that she could breathe. The second was that she shouldn't be able to. Her eyes snapped open. The helmet of her environment suit was gone, yet she was drawing breath after breath of cool, sweet air. Dr. Zektal loomed over her, his own protective gear also removed, skin shifting through patterns of green and gold she'd never seen before. "Remarkable, isn't it?" he said, helping her sit up. "The atmospheric processors came online just as our suits failed. The timing was..." His tentacles rippled thoughtfully, providential. The chamber had transformed. Water flowed freely now, cascading down the crystalline walls in precisely controlled streams that seemed to glow from within. The air hummed with the sound of ancient machinery working in perfect harmony, and the holographic display showed an ever-expanding network of active systems spreading throughout the planet's crust. "How long was I out?" Lily asked, standing carefully on legs that felt oddly light. 3 hours. The gravity generators are adjusting to optimal levels. The ancients apparently preferred something closer to Earth normal than the surface gravity. Dr. Zektal gestured to his scanning swarm, which now moved through the chamber with renewed purpose. "What they built here, it's beyond anything in our records. This isn't just a water management system. It's a complete biosphere engine." Lily approached the central control panel, which now displayed streams of that alien script flowing like digital rivers. "Can you read any of it?" "Some. My translation algorithms are beginning to recognize patterns. It seems the ancients didn't abandon this place, they sealed it away, left it waiting." His upper eyes focused on the text while his lower pair watched the continuing activation sequence. "They called themselves the Shapers." "Shapers," Lily repeated, testing the word. It felt right. Looking at the perfection of the crystal machinery around them, the way it worked with the planet's natural forces rather than against them, she could see the truth of that name. A new set of glyphs appeared on the display, accompanied by an urgent chiming. Dr. Zektal's color shifted to worried purple again. "What is it?" Lily asked. "The system is ready to begin surface transformation, but it needs..." He paused, double-checking his translation, "the key of flowing stars to proceed. Without it, all this will shut down again." Lily's hand went to her pocket, where her grandmother's dowsing rod still rested. The rod responded to the system before. Could it? "No," Dr. Zektal interrupted, but gently. "The resonance helped awaken the system, but this is something else. Something the Shapers took with them when they sealed this place." A memory surfaced in Lily's mind, her grandmother teaching her to read the stars to find water. "Sometimes," she'd said, "the thing you're looking for is right above you." Lily looked up at the chamber's ceiling, where the flowing water caught and reflected their lights like countless stars. Or maybe they didn't take it at all. Maybe they left it hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who could see it. She pulled out the dowsing rod one more time, but instead of holding it traditionally, she lifted it toward the ceiling. The flowing water caught the metal's gleam, and suddenly the streams began moving differently, forming new patterns. Dr. Zechtel's scanning swarm went wild. The water, it's not just water. It's carrying suspended crystalline particles, arranged in specific configurations. Your rod's metal composition is making them align, showing us the key. Lily felt a familiar sensation through the rod, that same pull she'd felt on Earth when she was close to finding water. But this time it was stronger, more purposeful. The rod wasn't just finding water, it was remembering an ancient pattern, showing them how the Shapers had encoded their knowledge into the very substance they worked with. The holographic display erupted with new information as the system recognized the key pattern. Fresh energy surged through the crystal circuits, and far above them, they felt the first tremors of change begin. "We did it," Lily breathed, watching as the display showed the transformation beginning to spread across the planet's surface. "The system is fully active. It's going to." Her voice caught as a new set of glyphs appeared, these ones flashing with urgent red light. Dr. Zechtel's skin went pale. "What?" Lily asked, though part of her already knew the answer. "The surface transformation, it's beginning directly above us. The storm outside isn't just weather anymore." His tentacles coiled anxiously. "It's the first stage of planetary reformation, and we're right at the epicenter." The chamber's crystalline walls groaned as ancient machinery began to reshape the very ground around them. They were about to witness a miracle of planetary engineering. If they could survive it. The ancient chamber shuddered as waves of transformation rippled through the planet's crust. On the holographic display, they watched in awe as the surface above them began to change. The endless dunes were shifting, crystalline structures rising from beneath the sand like growing trees. "Fascinating," Dr. Zechtel murmured, his scanning swarm struggling to keep up with the cascade of data. The Shapers didn't just build machines, they grew them. The crystals are self-replicating, using the planet's natural mineral deposits as raw material. A violent tremor knocked them both off their feet. Lily grabbed the control panel to steady herself, her fingers brushing across glyphs that now seemed to pulse with urgent warning. "We need to get out of here," she said, watching as hairline cracks appeared in the chamber's walls. "The transformation is destabilizing the cave system." "Agreed, but the surface is even more dangerous right now." Dr. Zechtel's skin had taken on a mottled pattern she'd never seen before, fear mixing with scientific fascination. "The atmospheric changes alone would kill us instantly." Another shock wave hit, stronger than the last. Above them, one of the massive crystal columns cracked with a sound like breaking glass. Water began spraying from the fissure, but it wasn't falling naturally. It swirled and danced in the air, caught in the complex fields being generated by the awakening machinery. "Look!" Lily pointed to the holographic display. "The system is creating safe zones, pockets of stabilized environment within the transformation zone." She traced the flowing patterns with her finger, remembering how her grandmother had taught her to read the land. Like eddies in a river during a flood. Dr. Zechtel's tentacles worked furiously over his equipment. "Yes. The Shapers must have needed ways to monitor the process safely. If we can decode the pattern." The ceiling groaned ominously. Chunks of crystal began falling around them, forcing them to dodge. The chamber's lights flickered as power fluctuated through the ancient circuits. "No time to decode it," Lily said, pulling out her grandmother's dowsing rod once more. "Sometimes you have to trust what you feel." She held the rod out, letting it respond to the forces swirling around them. The metal hummed in her hands, pulling toward a previously hidden archway that had appeared in the crystalline wall. "You can't be serious," Dr. Zechtel protested. "That's not a scientific instrument, it's..." It's responding to the same patterns your scanners are detecting, Lily interrupted. The Shapers built their entire system to work with natural flows and forces. Right now, that rod is picking up the path of least resistance, the safe route through the transformation. As if to emphasize her point, the column that had cracked earlier finally gave way with a thunderous crash. Water and crystal shards filled the air behind them, caught in a complex dance of gravity and energy fields. The safety protocols are failing, Dr. Zektal announced, his scanners showing cascading system alerts. We have perhaps 3 minutes before this chamber completely destabilizes. Lily met his four-eyed gaze. Do you trust me? His skin rippled through several colors before settling on a deep, determined gold. Against all scientific reasoning, yes. They ran through crystal corridors that twisted and changed around them, guided by the pull of the dowsing rod and the frantic readings of Dr. Zektal's scanning swarm. Behind them, the ancient chamber collapsed, but the sound was oddly muted, absorbed by the transforming crystal structures around them. The path led upward, through passages that seemed to form just ahead of them and dissolve in their wake. Lily's arms ached from holding the dowsing rod out, but its pull remained strong and sure. The surface. Dr. Zektal called out. We're almost. The passage in front of them suddenly filled with blinding light. They emerged onto a landscape that belonged in a dream. The twin suns' light filtered through a crystalline canopy that stretched as far as they could see. Water droplets hung suspended in the air, creating rainbow-like patterns as they were caught in the complex fields being generated by the growing crystal structures. But they had no time to admire the view. The transformation was still spreading, the ground beneath their feet shifting and changing with each passing second. There. Lily pointed to a massive crystal formation rising nearby. Its structure was different from the others, more ordered, its patterns reminiscent of the control chamber deep below. That's a stabilization node. If we can reach it. Another tremor nearly knocked them down. The transformation was accelerating, the very air around them charged with potential energy. They ran toward the crystal node, jumping over forming crevices and ducking under growing crystal branches. They were almost there when Lily's foot caught in a forming crystal growth. She stumbled, the dowsing rod flying from her grasp. Dr. Zektal turned back, his tentacles reaching for her. But the rod, spinning through the air, struck the crystal node. The world went white. When Lily's vision cleared, the world had changed. The harsh desert was gone, replaced by a landscape that seemed to exist somewhere between nature and dreams. Crystal spires rose like trees into the alien sky, their surfaces capturing and reflecting the light of the twin suns in ways that created perpetual rainbows. Water droplets hung suspended in complex patterns throughout the air, forming what looked like rivers that flowed up as easily as down. Dr. Zektal's scanning swarm danced through the transformed environment, their readings causing his skin to shift through colors of amazement. The atmospheric composition is perfect for both our species, he said, wonder evident in his voice. The Shapers, they designed this system to adapt to whoever awakened it. Lily retrieved her grandmother's dowsing rod from where it had struck the crystal node. The brass surface was unchanged, yet somehow it felt different in her hands, more attuned to this new world they'd helped create. They weren't just terraforming, she realized, watching as more crystal structures continued to grow and evolve around them. They were creating a template, a way for life to flourish no matter who found it. She smiled, remembering her grandmother's words. The old wisdom waiting for new hearts to understand it. A familiar hum filled the air, and the crystal node they'd reached began projecting its own holographic display. But unlike the one in the chamber below, these images were clear and purposeful, a message left by the Shapers themselves. The alien text flowed like water, and to their surprise, both Lily and Dr. Zektal could understand it. The transformation had somehow bridged that gap, just as it had made the atmosphere breathable for them both. To those who follow, Dr. Zektal translated, his voice soft with reverence. We leave this gift not as a monument to our achievements, but as a seed for your own. The patterns of life are universal, the wisdom of the past flows into the knowledge of the future. Let what we have shaped be shaped again by your understanding. More images appeared, diagrams showing how the crystal systems could be expanded, modified, adapted to serve new needs. The Shapers hadn't just left them a transformed world, they'd left them the knowledge to continue its evolution. The refugees, Lily said suddenly, remembering why they'd come here in the first place. How long until? A new light appeared in the sky above them. The refugee fleet had arrived early, perhaps drawn by the massive energy signatures of the transformation. Dozens of ships hung in the atmosphere, their shapes dark against the twin suns. Dr. Zechtel's scanning swarm quickly analyzed the surrounding area. The transformation has stabilized across 60% of the planet's surface. More than enough space for everyone to. He stopped as Lily threw her arms around him in a very human gesture of joy. After a moment of startled confusion, his tentacles gently returned the embrace. "We should contact the council," he said when she released him. "They'll need to know what we've discovered here." "And what have we discovered?" Lily asked, though she already knew the answer. His skin shifted to a warm gold as all four eyes crinkled in what she now recognized as a smile. "That sometimes the greatest discoveries come not from our most advanced technology, but from remembering to listen to the wisdom that came before us. Your grandmother's dowsing rod didn't find water here, it helped us understand what the Shapers were trying to teach us. That the answers we seek are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to remember how to see them." Above them, the first shuttle from the refugee fleet began its descent. Lily held up the dowsing rod, letting it catch the light of the twin suns. Its brass surface reflected onto the surrounding crystal structures, creating a cascade of light that seemed to welcome the newcomers home. "The planet is alive now," she said, watching the crystal formations continue their slow, beautiful growth. "Not just with water, but with possibility. Every refugee who settles here will add their own wisdom to what the Shapers began. And to what your grandmother preserved," Dr. Zechtel added. "Speaking of which." He manipulated his scanning swarm, which projected an image of the settlement zone they'd created. "I believe we're going to need more dowsing rods." Lily laughed, the sound carrying through air that seemed to sparkle with suspended droplets of water. Far above, more shuttles began their descent, carrying people who had left their homes believing they would find only harsh desert, and instead would discover a world where ancient wisdom and new beginnings flowed together like water through stone. She thought of her grandmother, who had taught her that the oldest tools sometimes held the deepest truths. On this transformed world, that wisdom would live on, helping to shape a future that honored both the knowledge of the past and the possibilities of tomorrow. The crystal forests of Kepler 186f glittered beneath its twin suns, no longer an impossible planet, but a promise kept by those who dared to listen to the wisdom flowing beneath its surface.